All right, we got to talk about how mad Trump supporters are at RFK Jr., and trust me, they are big mad. I mean, Candace Owens and a bunch of other right-wing commentators are losing their minds because RFK Jr. surprisingly kind of followed the science. So we saw the first measles death within the United States in over a decade the other day, and everyone was holding their breath, waiting for our new health secretary to respond. Is he going to say that it's entirely made up and fake? Is he going to say that we need to be responsible and take this seriously? No one really knew. But he ended up actually taking a pretty fact-based stance, and he wrote an opinion piece, an article for Fox News saying Robert F. Kennedy Jr., measles outbreak is a call to action for all of us. He then says, MMR vaccine is crucial to avoiding potentially deadly disease. Now, let me just say, we want to take the wins where we can get them. We disagree with RFK Jr. on a lot, but if the dude is out there saying that people need to get the measles vaccine, that is a message that we should be boosting and promoting, even if we disagree with him. So, before we even break down what he wrote, it is very important. Let's just jump in with what Candace Owens said. So everyone was getting mad at just the headline. And just a quick tip, always make sure that you're reading past the headlines. You guys all know this, but I can't tell you how many times I've seen people just post the headline and the article adds more context and it makes them look entirely stupid. So with this article, measles outbreak is a call to action. MMR vaccine is crucial to avoiding potentially deadly delays. Candace Owens quote tweeted and said, "Yeah, this is absolutely wild. I'm thinking I might need to release the MMR episode of my Shot in the Dark series for free so parents understand this is not a safe vaccine at all. The combination vaccines are the worst." Ironically, I learned this from RFK Jr. Okay, then why don't you trust him on this, number one? Number two, why would we trust Candace Owens out of anybody on MMR vaccines? Why do I trust what Candace Owens has to say on MMR vaccines? I mean, I barely even trust what RFK Jr. has to say. It's just, let's read this one. Ian Carroll from the Ian Carroll Show said, "Hey, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., hell no. What the hell is this? The call to action is 1 in 32 children in America today have autism." Not true. Just because Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are burning their reputations to the ground doesn't mean you should too. I love it. I love it. The reason why Trump supporters are also mad at Pam Bondi and Kash Patel is because they promised this grand Epstein file release, and it ended up being a bunch of redacted files. So MAGA, they're getting mad at every single cabinet member individually for different reasons. Before we break down some of the MAGA meltdowns, I do think it's important we just really quickly read this article. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wrote, "As the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, I am deeply concerned about the recent measles outbreak. The situation has escalated rapidly, with the Texas Department of State Health Services, the DSHS, reporting 146 confirmed cases since late January 2025, primarily in the South Plains region. Tragically, this outbreak has claimed the life of a school-aged child." And then it continues, "Vaccines not only protect individual children from measles, but also contribute to community immunity, protecting those who are unable to be vaccinated due to medical reasons." This is very important information here. "Measles is a highly contagious respiratory illness with certain health risks, especially to unvaccinated individuals," writes RFK Jr. I mean, we will take the wins when we can get them. I was expecting RFK Jr. to take a much less explicit pro-vaccine stance. I thought he was going to try to muddy the waters, downplay vaccines, maybe even take it as far as saying you shouldn't take them, but this is good. We want people talking about the importance of vaccines, especially people that conservatives listen to. "The current Texas outbreak has predominantly affected children, with 116 of the 146 cases occurring in individuals under the 18 years of age." And he says, "In response to this outbreak, I have directed the CDC and the ASPR to work closely with Texas health authorities to provide comprehensive support." All right, okay. I mean, this is exactly what Trump didn't do during COVID. He never had any sort of responsible press release saying this or that. It was always just, it'll be over soon, it'll be over soon. So what happens when RFK Jr. decides to be slightly responsible with how he's talking about this? Well, MAGA supporters are not happy. Let's read the next one. Stu Peters, right-wing commentator, said, "RFK Jr. is going to bring in the next death shot. Healthy people will be dropping dead. Trump will ignore the mass die-off, tout the bioweapon as a great accomplishment, and MAGA will praise him." What is this response? RFK Jr. is just another traitor Jew puppet, as expected. What point in your life do you have to be to write that series of words right there? Another traitor Jew puppet. I don't even know where he's getting that from. By the way, when they claim that 1 in 32 children in America have autism, and that's because of vaccines, because the autism rate has gone up, it's the simplest thing to debunk ever. Our ability to detect autism has increased. We now know that it's a spectrum. So we diagnose people at a much higher rate than we did in 1930. We also know a lot of new types of cancer since 1930. That doesn't mean that it's made up or it's some conspiracy theory. We just learn stuff. Study after study after study has been conducted. All of them say the same thing. Vaccines do not cause autism. Right here, Health Ranger, what an ironic name, says, admittedly, this is very bad for the credibility of the MAGA movement, meaning Make America Healthy Again. If MAGA equals vaccines, then count me out. I love the cope. Some of these have to be like Russian bots, right? Just trying to stir division in America and make sure that we don't have public health safety standards. But I think, honestly, if we're gonna talk about Make America Healthy Again, that would include vaccines. Yeah. I actually think it's kind of good that RFK Jr. I actually think it's really good that RFK Jr. did it in this way. He did it on Fox News as well. Because listen, imagine how many Trump supporters trust RFK Jr. over any other doctor or institution, probably their own doctor, because they think that he tells it like it is and he'll make America healthy again. So when he says this, it means more to them than if Dr. Anthony Fauci said that. And I'm not trying to brainwash RFK Jr. I'm just saying this message that he's putting out is pissing MAGA off because it's kind of factually based. The Patriot Voice said, mask off moment for RFK Jr. Really? Mask off? Because he said you should probably get vaccinated so you don't get measles? The Patriot Voice then says, telling people to get MMR vaccine due to a measles outbreak in Texas. And he puts outbreak in quotes. So much for MAGA. Yikes. They say they want to make America healthy again, but they do that by taking away vaccine safety standards, by removing many food regulations. They say they want to put America first, but they do that by alienating the US on the global stage, by saying we're going to take over Greenland and Gaza, and then siding with Russia. I just don't get, these people are living in an upside down world. But to continue, this person, Andrea Lynn, said, Dear RFK Jr. apologists, make all the excuses you want, but the fact remains, he's promoting the MMR vaccine as safe and effective. How dare he? How dare he? Parents will follow his advice and unknowingly poison their children. What? Stop defending these political puppets and start facing the truth. Signed, a concerned American who's had enough of the excuses. So they're saying that RFK Jr. is now a political puppet. They're also implying that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are puppets of some sort. So is Trump just always appointing the deep state? This is what happens when you create true believers. Any movement, any cult, or any conspiracy movement will inevitably create true believers. People who are believers at the deepest level and can never be shaken. And these are all true believers. These are all people who truly believe the BS that RFK Jr. and that like Elon Musk spew about vaccines. Even Trump spews this stuff about vaccines. These people truly believe it, and they are now purity testing RFK Jr. Imagine purity testing RFK Jr. on health-related stuff. I also want to remind you that Trump has said, both in press conferences and on Truth Social and on Twitter, that autism in children used to be 1 in 10,000. Now it's 1 in 34. Again, the screening process is vastly different compared to 20 years ago or even 100 years ago, obviously. He said, something's really wrong. We need Bobby. Thank you, DJT. So now they are pushing for more vaccines. RFK Jr. is pushing for more vaccines. I wonder if, my guess is maybe he got briefed by some people who actually know their shit at the HHS, and he realized, oh shit, maybe people should get vaccinated so the measles don't break. Maybe he had a stroke of sanity for a second. But I remember when I first read this Donald Trump tweet about autism about a month ago on February 4th, there was a response, and I can't find it now. It's all just conspiracy theories now. There was a response that said, you know, I used to trust the vaccine, but if the president of the United States is saying this, he must know something that we don't. And that just made me facepalm so hard. The president of the United States is supposed to be a beacon of truth and morality, and people kind of automatically assume that he has access to info that we don't. And he does. He does have a lot of access to info, but Trump doesn't use his access. He pushes conspiracy theories. He asks questions like he's a commentator. Remember when the DC plane crash happened, and Trump's response was to ask questions like he was some outside commentator, like, dude, you're the president of the United States. People trust you. They trust your word, but we've been going through this for like 10 years now, so Trump's not going to change. I'll leave it at that. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.